So this week, one of the things I'm talking about in particular is how do I make this happen? So it's a common statement used for people that are growth mindset, that are high achievers, that are top performers. It's an internal dialogue. It's a common item that they instantly say. Something happens and they go, oh, well, what am I, like, how do I turn this to my advantage? How do I make this happen positively for me? How does this experience turn into a learning opportunity? How do I? And so on. So in particular this week, I'm focusing in my article about when we have ideas in particular, and when we have super beautiful dreams, how do we make those happen? And are we asking that often enough? That's the bigger question. How do I make this happen? And honestly, it's a great question for me. A quick story. I'm standing here in the middle of Wisconsin at what's going to be shortly a BMW rally. Those few tents you see there will multiply into hundreds of tents behind me and hundreds of motorcycles going by me. That's not happening yet because it's really early in the morning. But my how do I make this happen is 20 years ago, I saw my first adventure bike, and I met my first adventure rider who was traveling across the United States on their motorcycle. And I went, I want to do that. And from that moment on, I was always asking, how do I make that happen? And I followed their blueprint, but that wasn't a right fit. And so when I got there and was starting to travel cross country on my motorcycle, I went, you know what? This isn't quite it. It's not as much fun as I thought it would be. So I grew to modify it a little bit and a little bit more until now I'm actually at a place where it works really well in my life. And I do get to travel the country and ride my motorcycle in new and different places. I just trailer the motorcycle there instead of riding it there because I don't have the free time for that. And I don't know that I want to. It's maybe not me, and that's okay. But when I first started out, what I really want you to hear is when you have that idea and you're like, I want to make that happen. That's when you ask, how do I make that happen? And the first things that came to mind at the time was, I probably need to learn to ride a motorcycle. And that took me 2-3 years to just not be scared and crapless every time I got on the motorcycle, like I was going to die. And then after that, how do we actually camp? And it just kept expanding. So my question to you, what dream do you have? What idea or thought have you had that, boy, I'd love to be doing that? My next question is, how do you make that happen? And then I encourage you, whatever answers come next, don't filter them for a couple of minutes and just let them all flow. And then decide, is there one action in here that I could actually take that will move me closer to how do I make this happen? You will be surprised at the results you create for yourself when you have that mindset. You got to clear out the cobwebs and you got to get rid of I'll never do that. That's not possible. It is possible, but it's not possible when you're telling yourself it's not. But it is possible when you tell yourself you can make that happen. I'm Georgina, international neurodiversity coach, championing for different thinkers to recognize their strengths, embrace them, and get out there and think differently and help change the world. Bye now.